Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new box office breakdown show here on Max Talks Movies. My name is Max Denenberg. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, ring the bell. I do this show every single week, as well as other movie, TV show reviews and movie rankings. So please subscribe, ring the bell. Comment down below, what did you see at the box in theaters this past weekend? What are you going to see this upcoming weekend in theaters? And also, please like the video, guys. The thumbs up button. That's how you do it. So this could be a quicker video because I'm trying to get things a lot more to talk about, just like last week. So like last week, we were talking about the domestic this past weekend, which was from January 13th to January 15th. Then we're going to break down the worldwide box office of 2022 and domestic of 2022. And then we're going to break down the all-time numbers and where Avatar sticks. Now, because we've gone through a lot of these rankings before, we're just going to talk about Avatar when we get to those big numbers. So let's start off with this past weekend, and that is that in its fifth weekend, still at number one is Avatar: The Way of Water for its fifth consecutive weekend. Only a 28% drop, 32.8 million. It's up to $564.6 million. Huge numbers for Avatar: The Way of Water. And they will have premium screens for the next 2 weekends before half of those will be cut off due to the new M. Night Shyamalan film, Knock at the Cabin. When that comes out first week of February, it will take half of the IMAX premium screens. So it'll be the first time since its release. So that really means 7 weeks in theaters. Avatar will have the IMAX, 3D, all of those screens. So still 2 more weekends to really understand Avatar's big time numbers, but big opportunity here domestic to really get over $600 million. In second place in its second weekend is the Universal Blumhouse movie Megan. In its second weekend, drops 40%, which is a really good drop off for a horror film. $18.3 million. It's up to actually gained 96 theaters this weekend. This past weekend, and it's up to 56.8 domestically. So again, these are actually really good numbers for Megan. The budget was around $10 to $12 million, so made very much on the cheap. That's why the Megan sequel talks have already been made. And we'll actually see if Universal will make this movie. They've made all their movies, no matter how successful they are, into the 17-day window. And even films like Jurassic World, and we're about to talk about another film, that even when they're successful and they're on digital, they're still doing well in theaters, because even if you rent them at home, a purchase of the movie is around $30 and a rental is around $25 when it hits digital before Peacock. So we'll see if Megan does indeed hit the 17-day window, which is coming up this week, or into next week. So this could be the last weekend that Megan is still exclusively in theaters, but still really good numbers for Universal and Blumhouse. Another big gain for Universal is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. In its fourth weekend, for the second straight weekend, it gains money at the box office, increased by 7%, up to $14.4 million. And Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is the new 2022 film to get into the $100 million club, 107.4 for Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. This is the second weekend in theaters where Puss in Boots: The Last Wish was available to rent or purchase on digital, and it's still increasing business. So the word of mouth is seeming to be very strong. And there's not really any family films, I know Avatar, but really animated films in the marketplace right now. Literally none that are in the top 10. So huge chance for Puss in Boots to keep this going. Again, as I said, the high rental and the high purchase rate, I think, is really making people actually see these movies as well in theaters. Finally, expanding wide in its third weekend, in fourth place is A Man Called Otto. Is very much limited its first 2 weekends. It increases theaters by over 3,000 theaters and increases business by 205% to get $12.8 million. It's a $19 million 3-week. Again, it's the first weekend wide release for Sony Pictures. This comes from, and these are actually really good numbers for Tom Hanks, but these are not great numbers. I think Tom Hanks clearly has an audience, and he was coming off of a very rough year in his career with Pinocchio and a very controversial performance in Elvis. But he starts out 2023 on a good note. And wrapping up the year, the top 5 here is the only new release of the weekend, only new release of that got into the top 5, which was Plane from Lionsgate. Gets a $10.2 million opening. Based on what people are saying, people really like this movie, but I think the trailers did a big disservice because it does feel like a January film. I have not seen this film yet. This is good number, not great numbers for Plane, but you can definitely feel that. I think a lot of people who watch Gerard Butler movies are just used to the straight to DVD streaming movies, and I feel like this will do very well when it hits PVOD whenever Lionsgate chooses. The other release was House Party this past weekend, only in 1,400 theaters, so double the theaters for Plane over House Party, and Plane had a $7 million edge. So all 5 movies this week over $10 million. Really good to see, especially in the month of January. When we keep going into 2022 domestic charts, Avatar: The Way of Water is now up to 571 now, 0.6. So it needs, again, under $200 million domestic to get to Top Gun Maverick, which is at 718. Seems very unlikely, but we shall see if Avatar has these legs into February. But as I said, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish becomes the 18th movie of the year in 2022 to get to $100 million. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, with that past weekend, passes Bullet Train, The Lost City, and Smile, as Puss in Boots: The Last Wish now up to 111.8. So it's currently number 15 of 2022. And just needs $7 million to pass Lightyear to get inside the top 15 or the top 14. So that should be passing this past weekend. So DreamWorks really beat up Pixar this past year, Turning Red going straight to Disney Plus, and Lightyear being a bit of a disappointment. The Bad Guys and Puss in Boots: The Last Wish doing very good. Big year for DreamWorks Universal, with obviously already Jurassic World Dominion being a $1 billion movie. When we look back at it now, Avatar: The Way of Water, how it stands top of all time, Avatar: The Way of Water has now passed The Lion King, The Dark Knight, and Rogue One: A Star Wars Story. Is now up to number 13 all time at the domestic box office. It's up to 571.6, as I said. The next number to pass is $600 million. $608 million is where Incredibles 2 is at, which is number 12 on this list. To get into the top 10, Avatar: The Way of Water will need another around $50 million, which is where the Avengers stands at 623. So we're going to keep watching Avatar: The Way of Water. It needs 29 million to crack 600, but it needs around near the 30 range to get past Incredibles 2. When we look at 2022 worldwide, Avatar: The Way of Water is now under $100 million to get into the $2 billion clubs at $1.9 billion. So that's over Top Gun Maverick and Jurassic World Dominion. So that's number one. But what we care about is, where does Avatar: The Way of Water stand all time worldwide? It is now at number 6. Based on this past weekend, Avatar: The Way of Water has passed Spider-Man No Way Home. No Way Home's at 1.910, and Avatar: The Way of Water is at 1.916 at the worldwide box office. So now the next test is 2.048 billion. That is where Avengers: Infinity War stands. Again, when Avatar: The Way of Water crosses $2 billion, it will be the 6th film all time to get to $2 billion. And 3 of those 6 are James Cameron films, with Avatar being number 1 all time with 2.9 billion. And Titanic being number 3 with 2.2 billion. So in its way right now, Avengers: Infinity War is at 2.048 billion, and number 4 is Star Wars: The Force Awakens with 2.064. Those are very doable. The question, can it get past Titanic and into Endgame to Avatar? I don't think it'll get to Endgame and Avatar territory, but I think at least it'll get probably maybe to number 3, number 4 all time worldwide. So those are the big Avatar: The Way of Water numbers. We'll keep tracking it every week until it's out of theaters, because these numbers are, again, record-breaking numbers. So this is really the last good week to see movies in the movie theater this upcoming weekend. Nothing really comes out next weekend. So to end January, really, for wide releases, is Missing. That's hitting theaters. The sequel to Searching, which was a huge hit a couple of years ago. That's hitting theaters this upcoming Friday, including The Son in limited release and Alice Darling as well in limited release. So that is this week's box office breakdown show. Here's a little preview for the rest of the week. Yesterday, I did my review of The Last of Us, episode 1. Every single Monday, I'll be, because of this situation now, every single Monday, I'll be doing a Last of Us spoiler review. Every Tuesday, I'll do the box office breakdown show. Every single Wednesday, I'll do a spoiler review of The Bad Batch. Its new episodes. So that's how the Monday through Wednesday will work. This upcoming Friday, I will be seeing Missing in theaters, and I'll give you that review on Friday. And then back right to Monday, where we're going to talk about episode 2 of The Last of Us, and back next week, where we talk about a new box office breakdown show. So thanks for joining me on this box office breakdown show. Please subscribe, ring the bell, like the video, comment, and I'll see you guys soon.